Ladies and gentlemen, I am Tony Chimmel, and welcome to Road Trip After Hours. Please welcome your hosts, MacDavis and WWE Hall of Famer, Teddy Long. Holler! Holler, player.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to an all-new Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, MacDavis, along with my WWE Hall of Famer co-host, Mr. Teddy Long. Hey, Teddy.
Well, wait, hold on a minute now. One week you come in and you put WWE Hall of Famer after co-host. Then this week you come in, co-host WWE Hall of Famer. So what am I going to be? Which one is it?
Shithead.
Well, I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that. That's exactly what I
am. Look, you and I had an opportunity to go to St. Louis for the St. Louis Fan Fest 2 and the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. And going in that night was Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., somebody you know well, Teddy. And, of course, he was inducted by some family members, and that included Randy Orton, his sister, and the other Orton. And the other Orton is Nathan Orton. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Hello.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question right off the bat, because I thought of this. I was in the ring. I was one of the guys running the camera off to the corner.
Yeah.
And when I saw you come over the top rope, I kept thinking to myself, what happens if you would have crashed? Because you came over, you made it, but it wasn't the cleanest in the world, but it looked dangerous. What would you have done if you had just popped a leg or something as you went over?
It wouldn't have mattered, you know. I might have sued the hotel. Maybe that was the. I knew I'd be fine because, believe it or not, I do keep up with some athletics. You know, I do plyometrics, I sprint and all that. So I was confident, but the top rope was flimsy.
Yes.
So I was not. I don't know anything about that. So it was. I almost fell, I think.
Yeah, but I kept thinking, boy, that would have been a disaster, because really, you were the highlight of the night when it came to the Hall of Fame. I think everybody there knew that. Teddy, you pulled me to the side almost immediately, and we had talked about getting Randy for an interview. And Teddy and I both were like, no, we want Nathan. We want, because that was the talent that night, wasn't he, Teddy?
And the thing I want to speak on, too, when you was talking to Nathan there about him coming over the top rope, always remember this. Some people do and some people don't. But Nathan has done that before, okay? That is, he understand he ain't just risking himself like that and not knowing what he's doing. So that's happened before. And then you got to understand this. He's got a brother that's a pro wrestler. Yeah. You know what I mean? So all he had to do was go to him and say, hey, man, how do I do this? You okay?
Did you get any? Go ahead.
I won't lie, man. That was completely. I was totally risking it. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Oh wow! Yeah, I just I was worried that would have been the end of the show, and that would, like I say, would have been hateful. I do want to mention too, before we get into really your growing up and your brother and your father. I do want to mention that a friend of mine, Joe DeFino, as soon as we put up a picture of you last night about being on the show, gave me a phone call and said, my son has done stand-up with you. His name is Patty DeFino. Do you remember Patty DeFino?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
He reached out and he says it's a super nice guy, and that's one thing that I did hear from a lot of people. People really like you, and they love your jokes. It's just how it is.
That's nice of people to say.
Growing up, I know when you got Randy Orton as a brother, and you know, women look at Randy a certain way. Was there a time when you were growing up and when you started dating where you might go on a blind date and a girl thinks that, I'm dating Randy Orton's brother. And then they, you know, you're not exactly Randy Orton at that point. Did you run into that quite a bit?
Not really. I mean, most of the women I met were just, they'd see me. It would always be like they'd see me at a show or something, and then we'd talk. I've always been an introvert, like really shy. And like I used to be like nervous to talk to women because, you know, they're beautiful and I'm this fucking awkward guy. Can I cuss?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm this fucking stupid piece of shit, fucking awkward guy. And then I'd see women and I didn't want to, I was scared. But then once I started to get confident with women, the Me Too movement happened. So now I didn't want to get accused of being a creep. So now I'm celibate now. I totally avoid them. I've been in love. Like when I have sex with a woman, I fall in love with them because I'm a fucking idiot. And I've learned that I don't think women can fall in love with men. I think I've learned that the hard way. They just trick you until you buy them a bunch of shit and then they're gone. So I'm just single. You can't afford women anyways up in the city, so I don't even date.
Yeah, we should mention that he is from New York City or in that area. Is that right?
Yeah. I live in Astoria. I'm in New York City. I grew up in St. Louis, but just like
what was it like growing up? I mean, you got your father, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., and I mean, this is. You not only do you have him, but you got your brother as well. Now, he wasn't into wrestling at that point, but there had to be a lot of competition between you and Randy, I would imagine, for Dad. Would that be the case?
I hate to. I'm a straight shooter. I'm honest. Like comics, we're too honest. We're very vulnerable, and I mean, I don't want to let you down, but like my brother and I didn't have a relationship, but we don't really have one. I mean, he's 8 years older than me, and he, when I was 12, he went to the Marines. No, I was 10 and he went to the Marines.
Wow. Okay.
And then, I'm 10. I hardly remember that. And then he goes off to the WWE, and he's been uber famous for more than half of his life. And I was a child when that started. So I've just did my own thing this whole time. I was an introvert, and I just played video games and disappointed my father.
It's funny too, and Teddy, you've probably seen this as well. A lot of guys I know are introverts, usually are the ones who become entertainers. And for whatever reason, it's like all of a sudden they feel safe enough, like in your case, to hit the stage and do some comedy because you are a comedian. And it's got to take guts because an introvert's not going to want to go out there and hit that stage. Is there anywhere where you're not comfortable performing?
No, I just really I've done comedy about a decade. Now I'm in this acting conservatory. It's like 3 weeks left and I'm auditioning. And I just really don't care what anyone thinks. And I don't know. I have nothing to lose. I've had heart surgery, hip surgery. I did MMA for a while. Like I was punched in the face. Yeah, all that. So I don't have a lot of fear, It's maybe I'm just dead inside. I don't know what to.
Any stories from the easy for me to say, MMA days?
I knocked out a guy in 7 seconds, and that's on YouTube. And my dad was doing like a local wrestling gig, and for some reason they reached out to me to do that kick, and I accidentally kicked the guy like normal, and I gave him a big welt because I don't know how to do the wrestling. Yeah, but they gave me $100. I was like 19, so.
How did you get involved into How did you get involved into the induction of your father? Did that come about through Herb Simmons?
So Herb just messaged me and was like, "Hey man, are you going to be in town? We're inducting your dad." I was like, "Oh, I'd love to be there." And I was like, "Of course, Randy's going to talk. He's the one people care about." Like I didn't even think anything of it. Like 2 days before, Randy just hits me up. He texts me out of the blue. Which was weird. I was like, I don't ever expect that. And he was just like, "Hey man, do you want to like write my speech?" And I was like, "Dude, you'll be fine, man. People love you. You got the charisma. You know way more about wrestling and Dad's life than I do." I was, I'm like the outcast of the family. And then and then he's like, "All right, whatever." And he like offered to pay me. And I was like, "You don't have to pay me." And then it turned into like, "Just do it with me." And then we were like, "Well, fuck, if only we do it, Becky might feel left out." And we're like, "Well, she ain't going to want to do it. We'll just offer it, then she'll turn it down." She was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So we're like, "Oh my God." So we were like, "Here, what's the plan?" And I was like, "Randy, you should go last. You're the big shot." He's like, No. Get me over with. And then Becky will go in the middle, the safe spot, the sweet, holding the microphone too low. You couldn't even hear her. I was like, "Put it in your mouth, Becky." I've never done that to myself. But I never thought I'd do that to her. But
I do want to say, your sister, I imagine you probably noticed she had a hard time coming into the ring. It was her first time, according to your brother Randy, that she had ever entered the ring, and she's in a dress, and the camera was kind of shooting right her way, but she caught it just in time, thank goodness. She came across and seemed to be a very sweet individual.
He did great. Yeah, she's a great mother. She's a nurse. She's a loving, caring person, good person. Except for when we were kids, she bullied me, but now she's she
bullied you.
Yeah, we played hide and go seek once, and I was in what is that? The hamper, the clothes hamper. I hid in the clothes hamper, and she sat on top of it for like a minute, and so I was like panicking. So now I have a fear of small spaces and women. But that happened. No, but yeah. So my brother, long story short, was like, just do it with me, and I just took the bullet by going last. And I just, on the way over there, I just, in my phone, just came up with like punchlines. And I guess I know like timing, and I just wasn't nervous. I was like, this is for Dad. It's not about me. And there was just no, and the crowd was, what helps is when the crowd gets the beats and laughs when they're supposed to. It's so easy. That crowd was great. Wrestling.
Well, and the reason that crowd was like that is because you were absolutely great, man. I mean,
thanks,
brother, listen, I don't stop and listen to stuff much. I just keep moving around. You made me stop. I stopped and I just laughed. I told Matt, we got to talk to him.
Yes.
Appreciate you, bro.
And it's unusual for me because I was, like I say, I was running to camera, and normally I'm very quiet so that you can't hear my reactions. I couldn't help, but you'll hear me laughing in the background over that video. And by the way, for those of you who have not seen the induction that Nathan did for his father, Bob Orton Jr., you can find it on the episode just before this one. Just go back one episode and it's right there. But you'll hear me laughing over the top of that camera because I legitimately was busting a gut because it was so damn funny.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It just, how do people find you? Because I know you're in New York. Obviously you're doing shows. You can't just be sitting home doing this.
Yeah, no, they well, by the way, they can catch us facing the wrong direction.
Yes. Yeah, your brother works for the WWE. Do you know where the hard cam is?
That's so funny. And I just followed suit. I was like, well, we were facing Dad, but it was whatever. But hey, it still was the on camera. So no. So I'm on Instagram. I'm not big on social media. So there's like purists like me who love getting on stage and like getting good. Like when you see Bill Burr or Louis C.K. or Chappelle, like they've been doing it for decades. And like now people kind of blow up on social media and they can't even do an hour headlining. And they fizzle out. I don't want to be that. So I don't have a lot online. I kind of just cultivate. I'm in the city, came here to get good. And I don't put myself out there too much, but I do have an Instagram. It's Nathan Orton NYC. And I recently featured at the Funny Bone in St. Louis, and I chopped it up. So there's like 20 minutes of me out there if you want to look. And then the induction was just like me, doing wrestling type humor. And I typically don't. I have a very dark sense of humor, a little sarcastic. It kind of
sounds like something Teddy and I would love.
Yeah. It's problematic is the word the fucking weirdos say.
Well, I was going to ask you, as a comedian, it's got to be difficult now because like when Teddy and I were coming up, comedy was much freer, I guess you could say. Nowadays, as a comedian, you really have to be careful what you say, and it almost takes away from the ha-ha, does it not?
Yeah, it makes it difficult. And I don't want to be one of those comics that complains about cancel culture. I want to be so undeniable that it doesn't matter. But it is true. People do find it's not like the overall masses get offended. It's these little people who get offended by stuff and they have a megaphone and they don't have their own goals and dreams. So they want to try to ruin a guy's career. It's just small. It's just small. Loud. It's like a minority of loud people, but the majority of people are cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some topics that are supposed to be off limits, I guess.
Teddy, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know how busy you are and what you do, Nathan, but I'm sitting here thinking there are large wrestling events in major cities, you doing stand-up in a comedy club in that town over the weekend that is wrestling themed with your history, I would think would be a sellout every single city because I think there are a lot of fans out there. And the reason why the crowd was so good in St. Louis, They were wrestling fans. They understood and got exactly what you were talking. Even when you talked about your dad coming out of the water and blowing the cigarette smoke out, people who were fans know exactly what you were talking about because it was a different time. So I would think you would do very well up there. Teddy, before we get out of here, anything else you want to ask Nathan?
Well, I was just kind of going to comment on what you just said. I was just sitting here thinking about that. There's Nathan right there. He opens up the wrestling show. He comes on, get them riled up, get them ready to go. Now they're ready for a good rest of the night of good wrestling. So nobody's never done that either. So I mean, if I got with some people, I think that would be worth a try. And as good as he is, it ain't gonna flop. It ain't gonna fail. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, because when the wrestling fans at that show the other night, I mean, there wasn't one person in the crowd going, he was okay. Everybody was like, this guy is hilarious. And you were spot on that night. And we wish you the best success in the world. I know that, like we mentioned, we could have had Randy. We didn't want Randy. We wanted Nathan. That's who we wanted. And Teddy was making sure we were going to get Nathan.
And the other thing, Nathan, I'm going to try to do my best is I'm going to try to get with some promoter or some vendor and get some monies together. And we're going to try that. May have you come to a show, open up, and then we have a night of wrestling, and let's see how that works. Because I'm telling you, I really believe in it. It ain't gonna fail, man. You are super good. So we're just gonna try that, and me and Mac, we're gonna stay in touch with you and get with you, and give y'all details and stuff. But let's try it, Nathan, and let's see if it works. Of course,
y'all are great. Yeah, I really do appreciate the kind words and you reaching out to me. It means a lot, and it was very fun to be a part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Again, you've earned every single bit of our admiration because we just love the show. We're out of time. I'm MacDavis. That is WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and of course Nathan Orton, our special guest. This has been Road Trip After Hours. See you next week.
Holla.
Absolutely.
Mac, Teddy, you guys are great. It was cool talking to you, Teddy, because I remember seeing you on TV and I was like, oh, that's fucking Teddy. And then you came up, you were so kind. It was like, holy, it was surreal. So this means a lot. Thank you so much, guys.